Hey guys, how's it going? Well, I do like classical music, but more than anything, I hate commercials. And this station, CBC 105.7, plays a lot less commercials than anybody else. So, thumbs up. This video is about a review of the Wave 3, the Olympian Wave 3. Now, our friend Static Campervan, Scott, if you will, made a suggestion about doing a video on this topic, and it was a good suggestion. Thank you very much, kind sir. There's not a lot of videos on this heater. There are a few, but it's certainly not nearly as popular as the Buddy heaters, the Mr. Heater Buddies, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not really sure why that is, because in my opinion, the Wave 3 is a superior heater. Now it comes in different versions. You have the Wave 3, which is the smallest, the Wave 6, and the Wave 8. So I don't know if it goes above 8, it might. The Wave 3 is pretty well almost perfect for van dwellers, for like if you're in a cargo van or a high top van. Now, why do I say it's almost perfect? Well, it would be perfect if it had a thermostat. I don't know why none of these heaters have thermostats. I mean, how much more would it cost to make a heater? I mean, if it was an extra $30 for a thermostat, I would definitely buy the unit that has a thermostat. Absolutely, because in the long run, you're going to save money because the heater will turn off, and then you don't have to waste money on propane. So why do I say that the Wave 3 is a better heater than the Mr. Heaters? One main reason, and the one main reason has consequences for other aspects. It is a better heater because it uses less propane. And it uses less propane because it gives off less BTUs. The smallest Mr. Heater is the little Buddy heater, like the round one that goes on the green can. That one at its lowest setting uses 3,000 BTUs. The Wave 3, and that's the smallest of all the Buddy heaters. That's the lowest it'll go. But the Wave 3 on its lowest setting uses 1,600 BTUs. So it's using almost half as much propane, which means it's not wasting heat, because the majority of the time these heaters, the problem is they produce too much heat. So yeah, the Wave 3 produces 1,600 BTUs. The other benefit of that is using less propane means you're releasing less moisture into the air. I think it's something like 2 ounces per hour at 1,600 BTUs. So if you double it, it's 4 ounces per hour if you're using like 3,200 to 3,000 BTUs. So double it, so that's 4 ounces is approximately 125 milliliters for us metric folks. So, you know, one of the complaints you hear about the Buddy heaters is that it's not a dry heat, it's a very moist heat. But because you're using less propane, you're going to release less byproduct of moisture into the air. So that's one of the main features of the Wave 3 over the Buddy heaters, is it uses less propane, produces less heat, and releases less moisture as a result. Now, on high, my Wave 3 gives off 3,000 BTUs. So the Wave 3 on high is the same as the Buddy heaters on low. Okay, here's my Wave 3, and I did buy the cover for an extra, I think it was like 20 bucks on Amazon or something. The cover is necessary because this white material they have on here, it's almost like a fluffy cotton. It can't get dust on it, otherwise over time it'll get wrecked. Now mine probably has lots of dust because what's on the floor? Sawdust. So sometimes when I saw in here, I'm pretty sure sawdust is getting on the heater, but oh well, life goes on. Alright, so I'm going to start up for you here, show you how it's done. Pardon my lunch. So what you got to do is first turn on the tank. I don't know if that's in the view, probably isn't. Anyway, I'm turning on the tank. And once the tank is on, hold this button in for about 5 seconds and press this button down. So press this button down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Press this, then the little pilot light goes on. And then I gotta hold this for about 15 seconds. Sometimes, well, in fact, every time what'll happen is there'll be a big poof of flame come up. And once that happens, like that, then I turn it all the way to high. And now it's on. That's it. After about 10 minutes, I have to turn it down to low, like this. I'm going to turn it off right now because I don't really need it on. It's pretty warm out right now. So after 10 minutes, you can turn it to low, or you can leave it on high if you want. Turn it off. Go like that. Shut your tank valve off. Really important to remember to do that, not drive with the propane on. So the next thing I do when I'm got heat, if it's gonna be a little bit warm, I turn on my fan. And that way I know I have adequate oxygen. It's really important with any heater, like a wave heater or a buddy heater, Mr. Heater, have ventilation. You can see my vent, my max air is all the way open. I can't open it any more than it is. So if I think it's going to be a coolish night, I will have it on low. But if I think like this morning it was 7 Celsius and is a little bit too warm to have the heater on low like that. So then I turn it to high, and it was perfect this morning. It was like 18 Celsius. So that was great. So I use my fan to control the amount of heat in the van. My fan actually has a thermostat on it, so it would go on automatically. I haven't even bothered to try to do that yet. I haven't found it necessary. Now, so some people might say, yeah, but so you got to keep your heater on all the time? And I say, yeah, that's what I do. My heater is always on when I'm in the van if it's cold outside. And then I just adjust the fan depending on how much. If it's too hot, I turn the fan on higher and it'll suck more heat out. So some people might say, well, how much propane are you using on that Wave 3? I'm using about 2 tanks a month on the coldest part of the year. If it's really cold, you might use 3 if it's on high all the time and if in the van all the time. But I'm not in the van all the time, so maybe 12, 13 hours a day, including sleeping. So yeah, about 2 tanks a month. Up here, the cheapest place to get propane is about 15 or 16 bucks for 20 pounds. And so, you know, I can afford 30 or 40 bucks on propane. And the thing is too, is only during the winter. So it's maybe 5 months or 4 months out of the year where I really need it. So $30 a month times, say, 5 months, just for argument's sake. $30 a month times 5 months is $150 a year for heating. That's not bad. And I'm plenty comfortable and warm. So just to summarize, the advantages of the Wave 3, it uses way less propane than the buddy heaters, which means that it produces less moisture and less heat, which is often, like I said earlier, the problem with these heaters is they produce too much heat. The other advantage of like over an RV heater is that it's dead quiet. You don't hear a thing, and seems to be pretty reliable. Disadvantage is that it doesn't have a thermostat. So the number one thing to remember with these propane heaters is that they consume oxygen. Okay, humans need oxygen to live. So if there's no oxygen left and you're sleeping, you're gonna die. So it's really, really important to make sure you have adequate ventilation. Now, some people might say, well, what about leaks? Aren't you concerned about leaks? Um, the propane smell is very strong, so you're not gonna, it's really, unless you don't have a sense of smell, you're gonna smell propane. And you say, oh, there's a problem. So when you're connecting your hose to the tank, it's really important that it's sealed properly. And you're supposed to use some bubbly water, spritz it onto the connection and see if there's like any bubbles, like soapy water, see if there's any bubbles coming out. And if there's bubbles, that means there's a leak. So that's how you test for leaks, but I didn't really cover that in this video too much. Another thing to do is to make sure that you change your propane hose fairly regularly. Like I would say a good rule is once a year, because it can be dangerous. Like you got like liquid fuel in your van. You want to make sure that everything's new and functioning well, your tank is not out of date, and your hose is in good condition. This is not something to play around with. It's really important to take it seriously. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night.